Hi everyone, Tina here. The aim of this video is to help you with your listening skills. You're about to listen to a short conversation between me and a friend. We are both native English speakers and will be talking as we would normally talk to each other. See if you can answer the following questions as you listen.
I actually got there by train from a different part of the same country, and that train journey took quite a long time. It was an overnight journey, which was the longest train journey I've ever had. But I arrived in the country by plane, but got to by train.
I also took an overnight train from another city in the same country. And yeah, that was probably the longest train journey I've ever had too. But it was okay. It wasn't too uncomfortable for what it was. There was nobody sitting in the seat next to me.
Oh, right.
So I was able to lie down, and I think I actually slept fairly well.
I definitely didn't sleep, and I remember it being really cold on that train.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I went when it was winter there, so it wasn't as cold as a UK winter. It was still about 10 degrees, but it was cold enough to need heating. And I remember that there wasn't really the concept of central heating in the places that I was staying at. But in fact, it was still about 20 degrees actually during the day, which was quite comfortable.
Yeah, that sounds quite warm. And so what sights did you see when you were there? What was your favourite part about this city?
Well, I actually really liked the central area of the city. It was similar to London, but without the crowds and without the hustle and bustle. It seems a lot more relaxed place to live. And the people were friendly. I liked that about it. There wasn't as much to do as many cities you have in Europe because there isn't the same amount of history there. But there are sights to see. There are beaches to visit, and there seems to be more by way of nature reserves and natural environments to go and visit.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So it's similar to London in as much as it's a large city, but not as crowded as London and with a lot more nature reserves, did you say?
Yeah, natural environments to explore.
Okay, and beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing London definitely doesn't have. Okay, great.
So, when was the first time you visited?
The first time I went to this city was actually last year, and I think it's probably one of my favourite cities that I've visited. I remember on the first day that I had time to go and explore, I went to the harbour and I was totally blown away. I just loved it there so much. I thought the atmosphere was amazing. There were so many people and it was just really pleasant. And you're right, it wasn't crowded like London and it wasn't rowdy like London or cramped. You know, sometimes you're walking in particularly busy parts of London and you can't move on the pavement. But at the harbour, there was plenty of space. It accommodated everybody that was there. And I managed to go to this building and they had a viewing platform and it was quite hidden away. It was one of those buildings that people just seem to walk past. So I don't know how or why it stood out to me, but I went into this building, I went to the viewing platform and I had a really brilliant view of the Opera House.
Okay.
And I was there for ages and I had the whole place to myself. There was
Wow.
no one else there. And I stood there taking loads of pictures of the Opera House and the boats going in and out of the harbour. And I just loved that place. I was really taken by the Opera House. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. And I was lucky enough to go on a tour inside later on that same day.
Wow.
I think that was definitely one of my favourite days away. And I think it's just a great place.
And did you see anything other than the Opera House and visit anything else?
Well, I was quite lucky because I was staying with some friends, and one of them took me to a particularly Asian neighborhood, and so I had really good Chinese food, and that's one of the other things that I really like about this city, is it's really multicultural. It's far more multicultural than I expected it to be. But there's lots of East Asians in particular, especially from China and Vietnam. So you get a lot of good Chinese, Vietnamese cuisine. Would you recommend this city to other people?
I would definitely recommend this city to other people purely because it's almost like being in the Western world, but being very close to Asia to get there. So if anyone's in the Asian continent, it's almost like a a more pleasant alternative to visiting Europe. Because everyone speaks English there, you don't necessarily have to you don't have to learn other languages like you would if you were visiting major cities in Europe, like Berlin or Paris or Rome or Madrid. And it's very easy to get around because it's quite a modern place.
Yeah.
So there's good public transport. The roads aren't jam-packed like they are in much of the UK. And altogether there's a calmer pace about the life there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I found that all over that particular country, not just this city, but yeah, the pace of life is a lot slower. I guess the downside, or one of the downsides, is that it takes about a day to get there from the UK. So it's not a sort of quick weekend getaway. Yeah, the time difference and the travelling alone really can take it out of you. But I guess we would both recommend it
Definitely.
to anybody listening to this.
Absolutely.
Okay, can you guess what city we were talking about?
Do I have to give the real answer, or can I just make up a year?